When Edgar woke up again, it was natural. The gradual disappearance of his dreams was not something he tried to fight. His body wanted to move, wanted to do things again, and he came back to consciousness without struggle. He could not remember anything in great detail about the last time he had woken up, but he got the distinct impression that he may have done or said something foolish in the process, that he had been less than lucid at the time. Understandable. Edgar tended to get the regularly recommended amount of sleep, even during work days, and therefore he had little experience with sleep deprivation.
Interesting explanation, but lacking some vital factors.
Scriabin's voice slowly faded into his mind.
That was before.
Edgar thought for a moment to ask what exactly Scriabin meant, but found he knew.
That's right. Before. I remember now. I had trouble sleeping back then as well, but nothing like whenever it was that I last woke up. How much do you remember? Not a lot, although even with the vague memories I do have, it's enough to feel embarrassed. Do I always get like that when I don't get enough sleep?
He didn't answer. Edgar turned over slowly, remembering that, if nothing else, he had been in a lot of pain when he had woken up before. The aching had subsided a great deal, lingering tinges, but nothing major. He felt resistance against his back, something brushing up against him. With some confusion, Edgar pushed himself into a sitting position and looked. There was a towel on his bed.
Odd.
Edgar ran a hand over it, felt something underneath the fabric. He unfolded the towel and saw 3 water bottles, much like the 3 he kept in his fridge.
What the? Do you want to know?
Edgar glanced over at Scriabin and saw light glinting off his glasses folded at the action figure's feet. He reached over to put them on.
I don't think I trust you. One of these days, Edgar, you're really going to have to ask yourself about what you think my intentions are. Why you think I'm constantly lying to you. I think it may be because you've always lied to me. Tell me one time I lied to you that you proved without a shadow of a doubt.
Edgar noticed that the cap on one of the water bottles hadn't been screwed on all the way. It had leaked and soaked through the towel and subsequently through to the bed. Not too much, though. It'd probably dry by itself.
You don't lie about those kinds of things. You lie about me and who I am. And? Where's your evidence? Still haven't given me any evidence. Well, for one thing, I'm not gay.
Edgar glared at Scriabin as he moved the towel and bottles off of his bed, slid them onto the floor.
Did I ever say you were, exactly?
To be honest, Edgar was surprised.
Are you denying that now? No, you aren't looking at this the right way. Did I ever say, outright, that you were gay? I don't recall doing so, unless it was in some facetious fashion.
Edgar shook his head.
Yes, you did. You have. That's all you've been doing for the... There's that trait that makes Christians so lovably endearing to others. The complete inability to see things in shades of gray. I never said you were gay, Edgar. In fact, I never said you even had feelings. Yes, you did.
Couldn't exactly remember something specific, which added to his frustration because he knew.
No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Is it just me, or is this getting a bit childish? No, I presented you with evidence, with questions, and you answered them for me. The fact of the matter is I have never outright said you were anything, unless it was a hypocrite or something of that nature. The facts Edgar, the facts are that I raise questions that you don't like, that you read into, and then you shut me out. I question you, Edgar, and you can't answer me. That's what you hate about me, isn't it? That I ask too many questions.
You're a liar. That's not true. Edgar got out of bed and stood. He stretched, took a step, and heard a loud crinkling beneath his feet. A sheet of paper. You've always been trying to make me something I'm not.
I've been trying to make you face up to what you are.
See? There. That's what I'm talking about. You think I have those feelings, and you're wrong.
You're putting words in my mouth.
He almost sounded amused.
That's a change.
You're wrong. You think I am, don't you? You do. You wouldn't make all of your stupid double entendre-laden comments about me if you didn't.
I don't think, Edgar. I know.
There! That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I know you'll never accept it. That's why I ask you those questions. I hope that someday, maybe you'll realize what you've done. Doing. What you're doing. Besides, do I have to remind you about a fun time in your mind? About what you said there?
I didn't say anything. Anything that you can prove. You forced me to lie with fantasies.
And you never answered my question back there. What does that make me, then?
God, I just... Ugh. Edgar rubbed at his forehead. What did I even ask you about in the first place?
The water bottles.
It sounded as if he was smirking somehow.
I don't mind changing the topic. I know that we'll go over it again, and again, and again, until you...
So why were they there?
Nee put them there.
Edgar paused for a second. Why? It was a question that he somehow felt deserved physical voice.
Because your back hurt, basically. He filled them with hot water. Heat alleviates pain.
He looked back at his desk and saw his clock was blinking at him. 12. The power was back. He looked down at the piece of paper he had stepped on and found something written on it. He leaned down and picked it up, went and flicked on the lights. Black words in a tight scrawl he found familiar. Maybe I've been too close to you. Maybe that's been the problem all along. I'll talk to you again.
Too close.
Edgar sat back down on the edge of his bed.
Too close? You don't really remember what happened the last time you were awake, so I guess this may seem strange to you. What? Do you know what this means?
Edgar rolled his eyes.
What makes you think I wouldn't? I would hazard to say that in most scenarios, Edgar, I'm a great deal more perceptive than you are.
You...
Otherwise, you wouldn't ask for my advice so often, would you? Well then, what does this mean? I didn't do anything to him. I'm not sure why he'd leave me a note like this. I remember explaining that my frustration last night wasn't his fault. I don't want him to think that I was angry at him by any means. You don't remember, and that's what makes this the most pitiful thing, although I doubt it will be unusual in days to come. At any rate, I do remember what you did in your sleepy haze some 12 hours ago.
12 hours?
Yes, this time I tried to keep track. That's not important, though. I think Johnny is worried about his influence on you. And I think your sleep-deprived episode earlier may have given him the wrong impression. After all, he does have a tendency to jump to conclusions. But
Edgar stared at the note.
it wasn't. Yes, that's what makes this so deliciously ironic. It wasn't his fault. You were just tired. But it could be that those half-started sentences, your broken thoughts and nonsensical connections, he could have thought that was him.
Edgar couldn't think of anything he wanted to say in front of Scriabin, muffled his mental words. He could hear a soft laugh.
I know what you're trying to do. The garbled noise itself can tell so much. This is beautiful in so many ways. Think about it, Edgar. Being too close. Maybe he's been too close all along. Do you think this is it, Edgar? Do you think that maybe Johnny has finally realized that this relationship isn't healthy? That he will and is hurting you, and he's going to end it, not with a stab, but with a letter? No. Your last connection. Your last shining thread connecting you to anyone, anywhere. What has it been all this time? Threaded through your body, through your mind, through your tongue, and through your brain. And now it's gone. The puppeteer has left. No, that can't be true.
He could feel the beginnings of anger, but it had no direction. Not that he could discern just yet.
He'll talk to you again, but it will be to say goodbye. Your sleepiness finally got through to him when nothing else would. He knows now, and... oh, this is so beautiful. And now that he has had a good look, that he's really seen what a farce this whole relationship is, he's horrified. He's going to put an end to it, something you never could. Tell me, Edgar, although I know the answer. Did you ever think that you would be the one dumped?
Scriabin was laughing, but there was something odd about the tone of his voice.
That can't be true.
Edgar covered his mouth with one hand.
This can't be. No, not after last night.
Anger quickly being refocused, rethought.
This doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because you weren't here last night. Or rather, when you woke up. The only justification you have is that you can't remember.
Still laughing.
No, that can't be right. Everything Johnny has done so far has been to attain his ideal.
Easy to slip into measured speech and thought.
Last night, that was all he talked about. Everything for him relates back to that ideal. Back to what he wants me to be. For him to suddenly decide that he's giving up. No, he wouldn't do that. Johnny's nothing if not tenacious. Johnny's nothing if not capricious.
Scriabin tried to catch his breath.
After all, your life hung on threads too thin for you to even think about now. And it took just one word, or one lucky instance, to change that fate. Who's to say that your peculiar behavior earlier could have been one of those unfortunate triggers?
No. Edgar had decided what to believe.
This means something else. Oh, does it now? Is your resistance because this misunderstanding is your fault?
Ignored him.
Too close. He talked about how he was afraid of something happening to me. Wanted me to stop being afraid of him. Distance.
Maybe... No. Change. He talked about change. He set the sheet of paper to one side, looked around his room. If he's serious about changing, about becoming a better person, then maybe that's where he's gone now. Maybe that's why he left.
Wouldn't that be perfect?
Scriabin snorted.
You're still believing in lies. After everything that I explained to you, you still believe in lies.
You're such an optimist. I wonder if you left any other papers around here.
Yes, mangled some of your other property. Wrote on your mirror with lipstick or blood, perhaps. Spray painted a message on your wall. What marvelous disrespect for your things could Johnny have shown this time?
Edgar stood and ignored Scriabin's voice. He glanced out the window and saw that it was still raining, although not as hard as it had been earlier. He could see the glowing halos of streetlights out in the darkness. 12 hours. It was sometime in the evening now. Exactly when, he wasn't sure, but regardless of the hour, he was sure this would ruin his sleeping schedule for the next couple of days. His bedroom door was open. He looked into the hallway. The hallway closet door was open and the lantern sat beside it. Bathroom door was open. Any door that Edgar could see was open at the moment. Well, except the front door.
Do you honestly think he'd change for you?
Scriabin did not appreciate being ignored. This tone was familiar.
For you, of all people. When his precious Devi couldn't motivate that change.
A minor revenge of non-attention. Pens scattered across the carpet again. No surprise there. Edgar expected Johnny to have written something somewhere, and assumed that maybe his new books were the victims.
Imagine what Johnny would think if he saw those. I'm sure he'd appreciate being referred to as irredeemably insane. Probably as much as he would about being your spouse.
His cheek itched, and he remembered. The bandage had stayed in place overnight. A good sign. He'd pull it off later. He hadn't thought of his books.
What? Are you worried that Johnny will think you think he's nuts? Come on, Edgar. He's told you that himself countless times. How could that offend him? As it is, you're the only one who's denying what everyone else knows is true.
A sheet of paper tucked underneath the couch. He could see glimpses of black and blue lines.
What'll it be this time?
Edgar picked up the sheet of paper, but before he could read any of the writing on it, he caught another glimpse of a sheet caught beneath his coffee table. More writing. He pulled it free and sat down on his couch. Familiar black writing, blotches and dark, hard lines. On one sheet, the pen had actually stabbed through the paper, leaving an indented tear. Want is the problem. Control equals answer. Desire destroys. Potential for change. Cold dash wall dash blocking. Emotions are the food. Learn how. Then Edgar's name, crossed out several times, and at one point scribbled over with what looked like a vengeance. Edgar Vargas. Edgar. This isn't like the others.
These aren't diary entries, you moron.
He probably resented how Edgar was too far away for a verbal conversation.
Remember what you said about solving problems.
Next sheet written with quick and sharp lines. The limited text peppered with obscenity scrawled with obvious anger.
extension of what I was meant to contain. Contain insanity. Definite downward spiral. Prevent unpleasant situations. No anger, no fear, no hatred. Careful watch. Protection. Divert hate flow.
Scriabin hummed for a moment in thought.
In the hospital. Divert hate flow. You're doing a very good job of hiding something from me, Edgar. I can feel it. More importantly, I know why. Whatever this thing is, it will hurt you. Or you assume that, if I knew about it, I would hurt you with that knowledge.
Stared at the sheet of paper.
You've tried to hide things from me before and failed. But this time, you're working quite hard. I can't find anything definite behind it. Not yet. Which is very strange for me. The conversation in the hospital, however, is my key. Feeding a delusion. You may say that, but I don't believe you. I don't believe you. There are too many coincidences for me to believe you were just playing along with him. It'd be one thing if you two had differing visions of whatever this is, but your visions work together, and that's the piece, the part that matters. It wasn't anything. Nothing happened. I don't know what happened. A very badly knit sweater, and I just have to find the thread that will cause the whole thing to unravel. You aren't as good at this as I am, Edgar. When I find the one question, that one question, everything will fall apart. I don't want to talk about it. Haven't heard you say that in a while.
I don't! Edgar stood up, found his hands were clenched into fists. I don't want to! Leave me alone! He stared at the floor, tried to find any other pieces to the puzzle that Johnny left him. Another sheet beneath a pillow on the floor. He knelt down, pulled it free. Just his name. His and Johnny's, scrawled over and over. Letters on top of one another, blotches and rips and what looked like distortion from water. Johnny must have spilled something. Johnny's name written with jagged, sharp capital letters. Edgar's written in lowercase. Leave me alone! Preemptive, or so he hoped. A moment of silence.
Make me.
I don't have to listen to you! Rising emotion, and his voice was changing pitch. He dropped the sheet of paper, saw it flutter to the floor. He felt his hands against his forehead before he remembered moving.
Is that so?
Infuriating calm. Nothing happened! Shut up!
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened! His voice cracked, and he started coughing. Once he started, he found he couldn't stop. As his breath became shorter and more difficult, he felt the brief onset of panic. Every short expulsion of breath made him want more, want it faster, air rushing in too fast and burning and out again and tearing. He was desperate to breathe, but he kept coughing longer and he could feel the back of his throat bleeding. Desperation forced him to his knees, one hand to his throat as he gasped for air. Couldn't hear, and watched his glasses fall across his name, shattering the letters through cracked lenses. Finally it stopped. The spasming stopped, and he took a deep and long breath. His throat felt fine. No bleeding then. just a little sore.
Well, that was an impressive tantrum. Accomplishes nothing, though.
Nothing. His voice sounded strange.
Has it occurred to you that that's less than convincing? Ah, the irony of it all. If only you hadn't chatted with me at the hospital about whatever it was that happened, then this thread would never have come to light. May I ask you straight out, or would you prefer another seizure first?
He put his glasses back on, but closed his eyes right afterward. He gripped his upper arms, felt as though there was no flesh on his bones.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Nothing. Edgar, did you go to heaven after our chat? No. No? Then just what were you and Johnny talking about in the hospital? Some kind of shared delusion. I don't know.
He felt his fingers digging deeper into his skin, felt it cool as blood was forced out by pressure.
It wasn't real. It couldn't have been real. None of it happened. It was a dream. Some kind of sick dream. You. I'm sorry. What? You.
He opened his eyes, felt his hands shaking from the pressure he was exerting.
It was you.
He sounded genuinely surprised.
I'm not sure what you mean. It was you.
Edgar clenched as hard as he could, frustration that this was as much pressure he was capable of through his hands. Pressed harder, shaking furiously. It was you. You're the one that did that to me.
What? What are you talking about?
You liar. You've always lied to me. You've lied to me about everything. Edgar's voice was low and dark. You've always lied to me. Always presented those pictures, those scenarios of possibilities and maybes that can never be true, can never happen. It's always been you. You've always been here. You've always lied to me. It was you.
Edgar, what are you talking about?
I don't know how you did it. How you were able to create an illusion so perfectly horrible. No. I do know. It was because you knew me. You said you read my thoughts. You knew what I was scared of. You knew what I wanted heaven to be, and you made it. You made it all up. You did it all, trying to trick me. No response. He knew it. Trying to fool me, trick me. I knew it. You must have. I don't know how, but you must have gotten to me somehow, some way. Maybe related to... You're not a part of me. You never were. You're an intruder, an invader, a parasite. I know it. I know it. I know you can't be me. You can't be any part of me. You can't be. And you have power. You have power. I saw it last night. You tried to do something to me. You tried to do something, and I don't even know what, but I fought you off, Scriabin. I wouldn't let you take me. Edgar started laughing softly. I wouldn't let you win, and I won't let you win. This is all an elaborate setup. Another play, another role for me to take.
Another web of lies to justify your obsession with me. All of it. To feed this obsession. All of it lies. Laughing hard now, with relief. I should have known. I should have guessed. He said he hears voices. Maybe he heard yours. Maybe you told him what to say. Maybe you fed him the same lies, the same scenario, and watched as we played into your hands. All lies. This is all lies. This is all your fault. This is all your fault. This is all your fault. Slipped into a mantra. Didn't notice when he started rocking back and forth, smiling. This is all your fault. No response. This is all your fault. The words were comforting, familiar, and so real. Couldn't lose them, let them slip away. This is all your fault. No response. This is all your fault. His hands loosened their grip, and they shook as he peeled his fingers away from sticky skin. A dull kind of burn as he moved his arms, flexed his muscles, still rocking back and forth, and his hands found their familiar home in his hair. What was he staring at? This is all your fault. A very soft voice in Edgar's mind, almost lost in the comforting cycles of repetition.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, Edgar.
His voice was still soft.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
Whispered to match his tone.
I don't even know what to say. I don't know what's going on. It's hard for me to say that, but I don't know what the hell just happened. I was trying to get at that memory, that dream thing you hid from me, and all of a sudden everything just... I can't even begin to describe it. Everything's falling apart. I'm seeing things blending and changing, and the dream thing is multiplying. I'm there, and I don't remember.
It didn't sound like he was talking to Edgar.
I'm in your memories when I didn't exist. It's like everything suddenly just collapsed, I can't even begin. I don't know where to begin. These are your memories, Edgar. These are your facts. Without them, you have no life. You have no you. And you're changing them. This is you, isn't it? It has to be. All your fault. The rewriting of history.
Scriabin almost sounded afraid.
I didn't do this. I didn't make this fantasy. I didn't do this. I wasn't there.
Yes, you were. Gradual calm and cessation of motion. Edgar let his hands fall to his sides and watched his fingers curl again. Brief physical memory of the grip on his arms. I know it. I know the truth.
This isn't real!
Scriabin shouted, and at the sudden change in volume, Edgar winced.
This isn't real, Edgar! You can't just edit me into your memories and pretend it was my fault. I didn't do this.
I understand now. He stood. I understand. Everything makes sense. It was all a lie.
No, I wasn't there. What are you... This wasn't my fault.
Denial.
He turned toward his bedroom, took a few steps with a crooked smile.
And you said you hated that. No!
Physical voice. A desperate scream.
No, Edgar! This isn't real! You can't pretend like this. You can't do this. It's not real. You can't make reality like this. You can't do this. I wasn't there. Edgar, I wasn't there. I didn't do this to you. You've done so much to me already, and now you won't admit it.
Edgar walked into his bedroom. The action figure was pointing his gun across Edgar's bed, as he always had.
For the love of God!
Scriabin sounded deeply upset, and Edgar wasn't sure why.
I didn't think this would... Edgar, listen to me. There is a reality, Edgar. A very clear reality. And a very clear line that defines that reality. My memories, isn't it?
Edgar sat on his bed, picked up the little action figure.
Your memories, Edgar. You can't edit those. You can't do that. You have no idea how bad this is. You have no idea what you're doing. You're just upset that I caught you. And you wanted proof of being caught in a lie earlier. Well, here we are. All a scheme. A clever deception, isn't it? You've always hated my religion. You've always wanted me to become my own person and renounce God. You've always wanted that. Wished for it. I never thought you'd go to such depths, to such lengths. No, Edgar, stop! Stop it! Stop.
He paused, struggled with his words.
I didn't do this to you. I asked you a question. So all this, Johnny and his talk of decay, it was your fault. Oh God. Oh God.
Sounded increasingly desperate.
Reality, Edgar. Think about it, please. Think for a moment about what you've done. What you're doing. This isn't real. You just wish it was. You wish I had done this to you. But you can't make it so.
He moved one of Scriabin's arms down to his side.
I knew it. God, Edgar, stop. I don't know what to... Fucking Christ! You can't do this to me. You can't reconstruct your memories and your life. This is all I have. Shit. This is our reality, Edgar. Ours. You can't change it.
Moved his other arm down.
I can't believe... I can't...
Short words with short breaths, almost hyperventilating. Edgar imagined the plastic in his hands moving.
I've got to calm down. This has gone too far. This has gone way too far. This has gone way out of your depth. That's it. This is it. I need to calm down because shit, you're not going to help me.
Fear turned to anger. Familiar anger.
You're too weak. You're too weak to pull yourself out of this. You're too weak to stop something that feels so good, you goddamned coward. It's up to me. I have to take control. I have to calm down. I have to do your detaching routine.
Lingering deep sarcasm, fierce resentment on an emphasized word.
I can't believe this. I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you're doing this and you don't even think anything is wrong. I can't believe this. All along. Shut up!
Scriabin shouted and Edgar dropped him. The action figure fell between his legs, hit the carpet, and bounced once. He expected silence, and for a moment, a cry of pain, but was disappointed on both counts.
Just shut up, you stupid bitch! I'm trying to think.
That's a first. Edgar smiled down at Scriabin.
You want me to shut up?
A frustrated sound.
I can't believe you're making me do this. I can't believe this. I know it. I know later on you're going to deny it happened, that you ever needed me. You're going to deny it, going to deny that you were wrong, going to deny everything because that's the only thing you can do anymore because all logic works against you.
A familiar sarcastic rhythm, and he sounded less panicked now.
You fucking bastard. You hypocritical son of a bitch. I can't believe you're making me do this. I can't believe you need me to pull you out of your stupid hidey hole. You need me. You need me, and you'll never say it. Not now, or not afterwards. I get those tinges of regret, but what good are they to me?
What, exactly, do you think you're going to do? Edgar leaned his head on his hands, stared at the action figure on his floor. It didn't move.
Your voice, Just shut up. I've got to appeal to that part of you that can still think, can reason through this, but I'm becoming increasingly concerned that that part is me. Listen to me, Edgar.
I'm waiting.
Shut up and listen to me.
A few seconds pause. Harsh breathing.
Think about it. If I could talk to Johnny, if I could somehow communicate with him, don't you think I would have done so already?
Maybe you've been doing that all along, and I just never knew. Mumbled words for a brief moment.
If that's the case, Edgar, then what does that make your current relationship? You're so intent on protecting Johnny from my attacks. You almost had a seizure last night when I told you exactly what was wrong with him. If I made him that way, why do you argue with me about it? What would I have to gain by doing that to him? What would that do?
Edgar got up and walked out of the room.
I've got to find a way. Look around, Edgar.
The voice back in his head, although it sounded strained.
Look around. Find something else. Find a note. Find something.
I don't have to listen to you.
You don't have to, Edgar. You never have. But you should.
Another sheet of paper, this time peeking out from beneath his television.
Satan. Dash. Waist lock. Wasn't meant to be a lock. No more voices. Quiet, introverted people. Alone. Dash. Can't be alone. Edgar. Dash. Candidate. Not sure. System can be beaten. Have to find a way to beat the system. Won't let this happen again. Prevent hate and anger. Collapse must be prevented. Sanity. Dash. Logic. Logic. Dash. Safety. Safety. Dash. Security. Keep him safe. Must be clear at all times. Can't be clouded. Must learn how.
Heard something in the back of his head. A soft whine of pain. It had to be.
This is... have to... Look, Edgar. Look. You were right.
Scriabin's voice was quiet, but not calm.
Look, see, you were right. Oh God, get off me. You were right. Edgar, look, he is trying to change. He's trying to change.
I Edgar couldn't register what Scriabin said.
I was right? I see. Oh God, thank you. Yes, Edgar. Yes, you were.
Soft, soothing voice.
You were right. I was wrong.
Wrong. You were wrong?
Yes, Edgar. Yes, I was. Johnny's trying to change for you. See? He wants to learn how to deal with this. Wants to learn how to protect you. I can see what you've created in here. Where you've inserted me into this bizarre fantasy. And I don't know how much of it is real anymore. I can't trust what this memory tells me, because I know some parts are false, and that throws the entire thing into question.
His voice was still very soft, a quiet and comforting lull. Edgar sat down on the couch and closed his eyes.
I have nothing to judge it against except what Johnny said in the hospital, and that only adds pieces. If this whole wastelock business that Satan talked about is real, then this is a threat we have to consider. But Johnny already has considered it. He's attempting to change himself to fight the system for you. I was right. Yes, you were, Edgar. You were right.
His voice almost sounded melodic. He never heard him talk this way before.
I can admit that I was wrong. I can admit that I jumped to conclusions. I can admit that, all right? Calm down and think clearly. It's nice to know you can be wrong at times. It is, isn't it?
Gentle words, and the opposite of the reaction he expected.
You already feel better, don't you? I think so. Good. This is much better. This thing in your mind, this memory of yours, it's not my fault. But, no. Listen to me.
His voice still very soft, quiet, and without any anger.
I don't know what it is either, all right? I don't know any more than you do. You don't know? No, I don't, Edgar. I don't know. I don't know what this is or what it means. I feel just like you do about it. I'm as confused as you are. Confused? That's right, Edgar. You don't have to attack me for it. I won't hurt you.
Almost a song. Words that rose and fell in a cadence that was relaxing, very calming. Familiar somewhere deep, but he couldn't place why or where.
I won't hurt you for it, because I don't know myself. I won't hurt you for not knowing. I won't hurt you for your doubt about this memory. Please, let it go. You don't have to justify it to me, to yourself. You don't have to assign this memory a motivation, a source. It's a mystery, isn't it? I don't know what happened. Neither do I.
Just agreeing with him was so rare.
I don't know. It wasn't my fault, though. But no, it wasn't my fault, Edgar.
He almost felt something brush against his cheek, but saw nothing when he opened his eyes. Maybe it was his own hand. He felt slow in everything he was doing, in his reactions and his thoughts. He didn't want to go to sleep, but he felt that if he wanted to, he could easily do so.
It wasn't my fault, was it? I didn't create this memory for you. I don't know who did. I don't know if it's real or not. Just like you. Just like me. That's right. Just like you. I don't know if it's real or not, but I know that I wasn't there, and that I didn't make it. I didn't make it, Edgar. You know that.
He closed his eyes, felt something resting on his shoulders. Scriabin's voice near one of his ears.
You know it, don't you? I wasn't there, was I? Think clearly. Take a deep breath. Take as much time as you need to sort through everything. You're confused. You're not thinking straight. I don't feel good.
His body felt weak, as if there was some kind of weight in his stomach.
That's okay.
He shouldn't sound this way, shouldn't sound so concerned, and Edgar shouldn't feel relieved for any open concern from anyone.
That's okay. A lot has happened for both of us just now. A lot of things have happened that need to be fixed. I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need you to let it go. I'm not going to ask you for answers. I'm not going to ask you to say whether that dream was real or not. I'm not going to ask you for details, but I am going to ask you to stop blaming it on me. It wasn't my fault. You have to realize that. You have to let that go. You have to take this responsibility away from me. And then I can start to fix things. You have to take me out of this dream, out of this memory of yours. Why should I?
A quiet question that came without thought. His breathing was slow and even, and again a light touch across his cheek. Maybe he left the window open.
It makes so much sense. It does, doesn't it?
No condescending tone, no sarcasm, no hatred of any kind.
I can understand why it would be easier for you. I can understand that. But that doesn't make it right. It will only hurt you, hurt us in the long run. It's better this way. It will be better for you if you leave it as it once was. Leave it in the corner of your mind. It'll be something we can both work on together, all right? Together? Yes, together. I'm sure we can find a solution. We work well together, my boy. We do. I know that we can solve this mystery if we stay calm and we stay rational. But you need to take me out of it first. You need to do that. We've never worked together on anything. Why would you start now? We've always worked together.
Something touched his neck softly, and Edgar found his fingers where his heartbeat was most tangible.
I can't do this by myself. I can't do this without you. I can't repair this damage by myself. I need you to work with me. I need you to trust me. Just this once.
Why should I trust you?
I'm the only one who can help you now, Edgar. Even if this whole thing never happened, I'm still the only one who can really analyze the situation. I'm the only one who will know what to do. You have to calm down. You have to realize this.
In the presence of something acceptance that seemed at the moment so unconditional, a tinge of fear and honesty brought a thought to mind.
If I am a lock, what does that mean for me? You don't have to worry.
Something ruffled his hair.
You don't have to worry about that now, Edgar. You don't have to. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it like I always have. I'll take care of it for you. I'm right here. I always have been. And I've protected you from so much. I can protect you from this too. I can handle this. I know I can. I can take anything that they throw at me. I can take it and fix it and make sure it doesn't hurt you. I can protect you far more effectively than Johnny ever could. I will protect you as long as I have to.
The shift of responsibility. Edgar did it so often. The shift of responsibility of his death to forces outside of his control, his fate out of his hands, his decisions to outside influences. All of it. All of it. It always happened to him, never with him. To absolve all responsibility, all worries, to the hands of someone capable. It wasn't something he was opposed to. It wasn't something he was unfamiliar with. His immortal soul trusted to the all-knowing and all-powerful. Comforting. It was comforting to have something to rely on, something to trust. It was comforting to know that there was nothing he could have done, nothing that he could do. That external locus of control.
You would take care of it?
Still almost singing.
Of course I would, Edgar. You wouldn't have to think about it. Even if it is true, which we're not sure about. I'll take care of it. You don't have to worry. Just take me out of those memories. Don't rearrange your thoughts. Don't rearrange what you see and what you hear. This is my reality, Edgar. My perceptions are yours. My senses are yours. You have more power than you think, my boy. You can affect more than you know. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to yourself. You have more control than this. You're more intelligent than this, aren't you?
Flattery that he normally would have rejected. Its source was suspect, but now he wasn't sure.
More intelligent? Yes. You're more capable. You're stronger than this. You can handle more than this. You have handled more than this. This is nothing. This is a drop in the ocean. This is something that we can handle. Something that we can deal with without collapsing into a catatonic trance. Without resorting to screaming and childish behavior. You're more intelligent than that. You're more controlled than that. You know better than this. You know better than to change your thoughts to justify your reality. You know better. You're right.
Edgar sighed softly, felt air brush against his skin.
You're right. I shouldn't be doing this. That's right.
Scriabin said gently.
That's right. You're better than this. You can do better than this.
I shouldn't have done that. Whispered words. I don't have to do that. I don't have to resort to something like that. I don't have to do that at all. I can overcome this, whether or not it's true. I can overcome this. The idea of it all. If it is true, then I can deal with it. I can overcome it. I shouldn't be afraid of it. I shouldn't be doing this. I can handle this.
Yes, Edgar. That's right. I wasn't there, was I?
No. No, you weren't. He was right. You weren't there. I kept wondering where you were. I kept waiting for you to say something. But you didn't. Not once. You weren't there. You weren't there.
No, I wasn't. I told you I wasn't.
Emotions dampened, buried. This is something I can handle. This is something I don't have to be afraid of. Maybe it did happen. Maybe it didn't. But it doesn't matter. I'm still who I am. I'm still capable. I can think things through. I can beat this. The pressure on his shoulders lifted.
Yes, you can. We can beat this, Edgar. Now stand up.
He stood, gathered the scattered sheets of paper in his hands. He felt calm, at peace. It was difficult to remember what he had been experiencing not too long ago, what he had felt and what he had thought. It seemed so irrational now, so almost impossible. Thought quieted, fell into logical patterns without emotion. Normalcy.
You know, Edgar.
He didn't flinch at his voice.
I'm just thinking. If you do turn out to be one of these wastelock things, that means you can't die. We don't know that for sure yet.
Didn't notice his use of the word we.
It may not even be an issue. True. But it's something I think that should be kept in mind.
He sounded vaguely distracted.
You realize now. Realize what you were doing and what you shouldn't do earlier.
Yes. He set the sheets of paper on his coffee table and carefully aligned them, matched edges to one another. Then he realized he wasn't sure why.
Good. Now maybe we can actually get to work.
His voice hardened just that little bit, and that was enough for Edgar to remember exactly who he was talking to.
You. Why did you do that? Do what, exactly?
Why were you nice to me like that?
Oh, that's no fun, Edgar.
Back to condescension again. Familiar territory.
Let's play a different game. Why do you think I acted like that? I don't know. You've never done that before. Well, surely I must have had a reason.
Like he was talking to a child. Edgar hated that.
Go ahead. Throw out a guess or two. I can't constantly work through your problems for you, you know.
There was an unspoken sentiment there, and Edgar realized why.
Because you might not always be there.
Silence. He thought that maybe Scriabin's lack of response was just to motivate him to guess.
I somehow doubt you care about me. It's hard for me to believe that with the way you phrase your words and your advice. It often seems deliberately to hurt or belittle me, just like the tone you were using earlier. Even if there is some level of concern within you for your host, for me, it's hard for me to find, trust, or appreciate it when it's hidden in such hatefulness. I don't think you really care about me, unless your way of showing that is even more twisted than Nee's.
Still silence.
Scriabin?
He heard something like rapid breathing in the back of his mind, so close that he almost turned around to make sure someone else wasn't in the room.
Scriabin?
His voice was almost a whisper.
I won't always be here.
Edgar's life was routine. It always had been routine. Even before Johnny had entered and changed his life, it was simple routine that got him through the motions of each day. The same time waking up, the same schedule, the same motions and words and actions every day. That repetition that made his life tolerable, and again shifted responsibility for his decisions onto his internal schedule. Even after Johnny entered his life, he had struggled to work his plans and his behavior into that internal schedule. He had worked at planning things, working his life around him, finding a routine. Scriabin's introduction to his house was a set place for the action figure to sit, and a set position for it to be in. Scriabin had settled into the routine of Edgar's life without any trouble, naturally and without effort. It seemed he had always been there. And the voice in his mind that he found helpful and distracting and harmful, had started so quietly and so subtly that he couldn't place when it had begun, when Scriabin had begun to work his way into the routine of Edgar's life. Even as Scriabin had gained, or perhaps been given more of his emotions and feelings and opinions, it had always been worked into the routine, into the automated machine. Required no work, no maintenance. He had accepted Scriabin. He had accepted his growth. He had accepted his development by simply adapting to it as it happened. Now, although he hated Scriabin, hated his insistent insulting commentary and his comments that were all too true at the worst times, he had never thought of Scriabin leaving, in a way. Even during his stay in the afterlife, if that's what that was, he had expected Scriabin to be there. He had grown used to his voice, accustomed to his insight, and the thought of losing that, even if he hated it so much, was... He wasn't sure how he felt about that.
Can you die? Before.
Scriabin sounded vaguely distracted.
Before, I would have said there was no chance. Now, after all this, after everything you've done in here, I don't know. Are you scared of me?
No.
Quick, steady answer in a level voice.
Well, why not?
Edgar ran a hand through his hair.
Because you're a coward.
It wasn't a challenge, just a simple statement of fact.
You're a coward and you don't want someone's blood on your hands, even if they don't really exist.
He sounded bitter.
Maybe you can kill me. Maybe you can. I don't think so, but this whole whatever just happened threw an unpleasant light on what you can potentially do. But you don't know how. More importantly, you don't have the motive. What? What do you mean, no motive? Of course I have a motive. I hate you. I know you do. But that doesn't change anything, Edgar. You have no drive for that motive. It's not real. It's a thought, a comforting thought that erases anything more subtle or more meaningful. Simple hate, and that's all. But not enough to murder, never enough to seriously want to kill, want me dead. Never enough. And you know why? You need me. You think what just happened, what I just did for you, is ample proof of that. You need me as your balance, as your logic. I don't need you. You can't even think of what it'd be like without me.
His voice was still level.
You're so used to me being here, so used to me antagonizing you, that there's no other reality for you. I am your reality. I'm real. Well, to you, anyway. You're not real.
Just felt the urge to say something damaging. Wanted to hurt him.
You need me, because I'm the only body you'll ever have. I'm the only way you can ever interact with the physical world. I'm your only link. That's why you were frightened before, when I began changing things. I'm your last chance. I'm your only window. I'm your only connection to anyone or anything. You need me. Maybe even more than I need you. I'm real. I'm more real than you'll ever be, than you'll ever hope to be. You can never be better than me. You can never be more than me because I'm real. You're just a figment pretending at reality. At least I have a physical body.
He felt something white hot in the back of his mind. Something that flared and burned like he looked at the sun and cut through his eyes, went through and burned and rage. He could feel rage and pain, the intense burning, vengeful hatred, and something screaming and howling and... He was sitting in his car, and the car was parked in front of his church.